Hello everyone, this is GM VAR Akobian with 1000 GM, and I'm excited to show you the round 3 game analysis of the St. Louis GM Norm tournament. This is our second tournament I'm organizing in St. Louis, and we're very excited to have all these strong players compete and try to get their GM Norm. In this matchup, we have the first game. We're going to go over all 5 games. In this one, we have FM Krechetov playing with the white pieces against GM Harshit. Let's take a look. Knight f3, d5, c4, knight f6, c4, e6, knight c3, bishop b4. So we have the Ragozin here. e3. a3, it's not the most, aggressive, challenging line. A lot of the lines go like this, and bishop g5, and more complicated line. e3 is very solid. It basically transposes now to a Nimzo-Indian Rubinstein variation. Bishop d2, solid setup. Take, bishop. This setup has been becoming more and more popular, actually. b1. Interesting move. Krechetov is showing some interesting analysis, playing this move very quickly, too. I mean, you would think the move queen c2 would be the most natural move, but no, he plays queen b1. b4. That's where we see the idea, guys. He wants to play b4, grab the space. Ah, rook c1. And now he plays b5. Very interesting, and we see some pretty confident, quick play by FM Krechetov, and GM Harshit decided to lock the center. Bishop e1, eliminating the knight d2 option now. Queen b3 now, putting pressure on d5. Basically, the goal is to try to have the black take on c3. Knight d2. Knight g3, trying to get the knight and play knight f5. Knight g4, wow. Getting very, very active here with the knight on g4, trying to create threats. But on the other hand, white's position is so solid. Everything is protected, so it's very hard to get chances here to attack. But let's see. Knight f1. Oof. Yeah, this is not that great. Really going back a lot. f6. The point of f6 here, guys, is to try to control the e5 square. Okay, so the knight doesn't have the option to jump in on e5. So that's the idea here. So h3. You're removing the knight back. Knight f2. Now trying to take this knight, get this guy out of there. Because now the idea is to take and just move the bishop back. Knight b3. Ooh, where is the knight going on b3 here? I don't see a big future for the knight there unless he's ready to sacrifice on a5. I don't see a very, very big future for the knight to b3. But let's see here. Kind of like the idea of f3, take, queen d2. Kind of like this. And hopefully one day we can play bishop g3, trade this bishop, and then try to have pressure on c7. f3, knight g5, queen f2. Yeah, if just the dark square bishops are off the board here, it just will make white's life so much easier. If we just take these two pieces off the board, the big news is going to be the c7 is going to be very weak as well. So that's the win. So position is very, very complicated still. All the pieces are on the board. We have only exchanged one set of pawns. Queen h4, knight e4. Wow, look at this move. Bishop takes play, because if you take with a pawn, then f pawn takes and knight f5 is going to come in. It's very, very dangerous. Bishop e4, f takes e4. Knight bd2. Yes, certainly now knight f5 is very strong, and black is taking over the game here. g5. You can't take because you actually get mated here if you do that. Now we see the problem of having the disconnected pieces. So g5, queen h5, g4. Certainly a nice advantage for black now. White king is getting more exposed now. Some rook e6, rook h6 ideas in the horizon here. Bishop g3. Rook e6 is coming in. King g1. Queen g5, trying to trade. Check. Yeah, if you take with rook, yeah, actually bishop takes is just super strong. Attacking everything still. It's a very nice advantage. So he took here. So looks like perhaps here maybe just simply take, you know. Bishop takes g3 should have been. Oh, there's rook c7 here. See, the problem is this bishop is still trapped. So like a lot of these lines actually end up being okay because you're actually losing the bishop. So if the bishop was in the game, then you don't have to worry about it. So that's one thing that you have. This you always have this very bad bishop on b7. Take. So that in a position where you're up a pawn, but your bishop is just so bad you can't win. Knight f3. See, the bishop is still bad. You're just barely holding this. Yeah, they just agreed to a draw here because I'm still actually a little bit surprised that Kretchetov took a draw here because I think he's basically black is playing down a bishop here. So why can't he just push a little bit? I think Harshit offered a draw and they agreed, but I think after this, it's still some pressure here. G5 is coming up. So I would prefer white in this position. But again, black was just probably winning earlier, so it's overall a good outcome for him. So draw is good for white. Draw against a grandmaster. Let's move on to the next game here, guys. This was a very interesting, sharp game. A lot of intensity here. And the next game we have is the game between IM Dimitar Mardov playing against GM Akshat Chandra. E4, E5. So we have the Italian. So players are moving very fast. And I will stop when we see some pause here. By Chandra, he played bishop e6 here. Looks like his first thing is a5, and he's going for this setup here, but now d4. It's trying to break the center here. Trying to break the center, and now take, pawn takes back. Bishop to b6. Queen a4, putting pressure now. Yeah, this structure became a big problem here for Grandmaster Chandra here because he never really fully equalized. Okay, knight b8. If you have to play a move like knight b8, you know you're in trouble, okay? Because your knight is developed and it's going back to d7, now going back to d8. So if you have to play this move, yeah, you're in trouble here. b3, d5, bishop a3. Rook a1, knight d7, trying to give up the pawn to get the pieces back in here. And he almost did actually. A4, he almost equalized. And here I don't like this move. I think it's important to keep the bishops on the board. So I would have liked to take this. To play just this position. This is actually very decent. Bishop here comes in to put pressure. You play b4, it's going to keep the bishop blocked up. So I kind of would have liked this idea. Bishop a5, putting some diagonal pressure here. So he actually took here, and actually the game took some really difficult turn for Grandmaster Chandra here because he's a little bit low on the clock, and look what happened here. He spent most of his time, and now Dimitar goes here, and queen d8 is a really bad move, so you have to play queen f4 here. You have to keep the queen more active here, okay? But queen d8, and now queen c3, and now this diagonal is very annoying, and the threat is just simply go here. And you can't even trade pieces because just take, and then boom, takes. Eliminates the defender and then gives you the mate. So 94, bishop f5, and now this just loses, but again, he doesn't have time anymore. So yeah, if you play a move like 98, you can maybe do that, but first of all, I can go rook here and just rook g3, giving mate. There is also idea of knight c5, attacking this and taking on e8 and queen g7 mate. So it's a very unpleasant position, especially to play this when you don't have time. You know, you actually have 1 minute on the clock, and opponent still has all these threats in this position. So, but the game ended actually very quickly. Takes, if you take with the pawn, it's just lost. So now queen c5, hitting the bishop. Queen g5. Maybe queen g6 was better, but again, it's a very, very unpleasant task to play this position. And get the rook in, attacking everything. So I play queen g5, rook e5, now it's pinned. Rook e8. Now the queen is under attack, threatening queen f8. Trade. And the point now here is just you have to move the queen, otherwise you're getting mated. So either you lose your queen or you lose on f8. So you have to go here and now just trade and pick up the full piece. And here Grandmaster Chandra resigned because he's just down a full piece. There's just a check. And after this, there's nothing going to happen here. So very nice win here. A little bit of an upset. A nice win for IM Mardov beating against Grandmaster. Let's move on to the next game here. Next game we have is the game between two IMs. They have about the same exact rating here. IM Williams against IM Kalkstein. So let's take a look. Knight f3, d5, c4, e6. So this is becoming more and more fashionable. I see a lot of people try to play like this. They delay the move d4. Knight c3. More and more people play like this. The point of this is rook c1, as if you play bishop d6. Oops, now you're in trouble. The bishop is under attack, this is 7, so it's going to be a big problem. So that's why you go here. Then you put the bishop on d6, and they go g3. Bishop g2. Double fianchetto position. Black looks very solid here. And he puts the knight on e4. And now getting ready to play f5. I think it looks good for white. Sorry, it looks good for black. I like the activity now. The knight is now very nicely sitting on e4. And on the other hand, I don't see exactly what is white going to do here. How is white going to get some counterplay here on the queen side? So knight takes c4 was played. Knight d2. Yeah, perhaps 95 should have been considered here to get some pieces swapped off here. Let's look at the line 95. Take, bishop takes, queen d7 is actually, it's just right on time. You have the move rook e7. So that's actually a very important idea here. Otherwise, it would be very, very comfortable. You would pick up the pawn on 7. So yeah, I mean, you can play queen e1, but that's just going to be, yeah, you get d5, a little bit of compensation, but not that much. But queen a1 is played, but now f5. Black is starting his play, and the problem here we see, the main problem we see here is just space. And white is just really passive and is pushed back, and it's going to be very difficult to do anything. Now f5 comes in, knight f6 is next. Bishop d5 is a great move. And now basically the plan is this: g5, f4, and break through the defense. If opponent lets you, even play f3. So that's why IM Williams decided to go for c4, trying to get the bishop, but now take. And actually very important move here, f4. Creating weaknesses. You're still up a piece, so you can create some weaknesses here. Maybe e takes f4 was the best, but it's hard to tell because after that, you can play even bishop here, c5, maybe bishop f4. You come back here and knight h5. It's just going to be a very, very bad position because you don't have any defenders around the king side. Everything is on the queen side, and there's nothing really happening on that side of the board. So c takes d5 was played. Now fe, FG is actually a little bit stronger, but it's actually transposed into the same thing. Knight G4, pretty much. There was a bishop H3 move here, but again, you know, normal human players are not going to play like this bishop H3. This is like, that's not how you think normally. But yeah, it would have been an interesting move. Knight G4. Now it's just a strong attack. E3 is weak. Knight H2 is coming up. Queen G5. Okay, I'm not sure why not just take the pawn, hitting the rook, and just then go Queen G5. Bishop G3 is on the horizon too. So it's a very strong position. If you take Queen G5, that allows this, but again, dark square is now super weak. Takes, and now H5, H4. Queen E4. Sacrifice. Check. The point is, if you go to F2, you're going to run into check and check. You lose. So you have to go H3. Now check. F2, pushing the pawn, threatening F1. There are definitely other options here as well. I'm not sure why not just here and just mate here, no? Not sure why I didn't just do that, but okay, here. And after this, yeah, he resigned. Actually, yeah, the fourth sequence is King F7. Sorry, King F7, Rook H8. It's just a mate. So, okay, after this, it's resignable too, because if you go here, oh, okay, so just check. Let's see here. Oh, yeah. So just take mate. So that's another way to win. So excellent game here. Excellent win for I.M. Kalekstein with the black pieces against I.M. Williams. So yeah, he got a good position out of the opening and a little bit passive opening play. And after that, it just became very, very difficult to do much. So just again, with white, you have to play a little bit more actively, I think, in my opinion, because otherwise it's just was a bit passive, I thought. Let's move on to the next game. Next game is between, this was a very interesting game between Josiah Sturman is playing GM Antipov, the top seed. So it started out D4. We have the Rogozin, A3. Very solid setup for white here. Knight B8. I mean, this is interesting. Players are moving fast here. I don't know if there's some analysis, but trying to play C5. White is really ahead in development, so E4, wait a minute, takes. So yeah, after if you take with a pawn, you're just going to be clearly worse after knight b5 because there's knight c7 threat coming up too. So creating threats and attacking, so that's a problem. So he took back with a knight, e4. I mean, if you take, pawn takes, bishop d3, pawn is under attack, and the bishop to d. I mean, this is a very nice position for white. So I think something really went wrong for Antipov in this game because it's a very unpleasant position out of the opening. So, however, Josiah just plays e4, not giving Antipov the weakness. Takes, bishop takes, knight b6, bishop d3, bishop d7, bishop a4, queen e2, f6. Oof. We come back to this f6 move. Never play f6. Even a very strong grandmaster, he decided to play f6. Nope, don't touch that pawn. That as soon as you touch that pawn, it's just, you know, 9 out of 10 times when there's so many pieces on the board, you play the move f6. It's just going to be a problem. From analyzing all these games we see in our 1000 GM tournaments, just you better keep that pawn where it stays. Very, very important. Bishop b2, knight d4, and e5. See, f5, f6 became a hook. That's something that you can put pressure on. So now takes, queen e2, And now the king is exposed. See, the bishop is not doing much here. The only good thing is just covering this square, but now this king is becoming more vulnerable here. e5, bishop e4, attacking the queen. By the way, if you're wondering why not take, because you're going to take the queen back, it's check. That's why. It's very important. You don't have time to take it. So, bishop e4, queen here, knight f3. Yeah, it looks like, wait a minute, there is a, you're losing exchange here after bishop b5, but the compensation is going to be extremely strong here. Queen goes here. If you play bishop d3, you're probably just losing to check. Rook fd1. You get into big trouble here because of the pin. So takes, rook f1. And now we have light squares are very weak. e5 is weak. Just very, very difficult to do anything here. So it looks like technically winning position. Queen c6, queen f5. Trying to trade queens. Wait, wasn't there a repetition here? So let's just see here. Okay, so that's 1, 2. Ah, no, okay. So it was 2. So he takes on c6. Bishop is hanging still. Bishop g6. I mean, yeah, still a very pleasant endgame because you have 2 bishops. Okay, you have 2 bishops and 2 pawns. Basically, bishop and 2 pawns for rook. So very good compensation. Rook d2. Now this is just losing. Josiah finds the move. He's so close now to the victory. Yeah. Bishop b3. Bishop b3 makes so much sense. Threatening knight f7 check. And he's about to win against the top seed in this tournament. Now simply goes bishop g5, attacking this guy. And guess what, guys? The rook is trapped. This is probably would have forced a resignation from Antipov because here he goes bishop c2, picking up the rook. Josiah so close to play bishop b3 and knight f7. He went here instead. g4. Missing a golden opportunity. Even here, just check. Just check. Check. And bring this guy back. Still, all the threats are still remaining in the position. 2 bishops, but instead he went here. What did he miss? Oh, he just thought he's going to queen the e-pawn, but too many pawns. Can't even play e7 yet because rook f3. Yeah, he just misevaluated this. Because losing too many pawns here. And yeah, trading the last pawn. This is absolutely crucial because if this pawn remained, then you have a chance. But after this, it's just a draw because yeah, you can't really attack on g7 twice. So yeah, it's just, I mean, still, maybe white can play a little bit here, but it's just very tough. Yeah, very disappointing here for Josiah because even here, he could have just really win this game. And that would have been put him in a really good position. That would have been a really good position for him to, because he won the second round game, and I think he won the first round too as well. So it would have been a fantastic start for him, to get to that 7 points to get the GM norm. But didn't meant to be, and Antipov defended very well at the end. And let's take a look, guys, now the fifth and the last game of this round. This was a matchup between 2 young players, FM Tukstamur against FM Gedaljovic. So we have the Catalan here by Tukstamur, and a5 player. Max goes for a5 here. Knight f3. Queen c2. e5. a3, getting the bishop out. Yeah, but I think it's just not that much here in this. You have to try to use the initiative here. So e5. You have to try to get some initiative with when you give up the bishop, it allows a lot of chance to equalize. Let's take a look here. Why not take the pawn? Take the pawn. So apparently there's some e4 ideas that are very strong here. Attacking the rook, knight, and also taking this. Yeah. Yeah. Knight c6, defending it. Knight d2. Bishop goes on d6. e4. I kind of wanted to use that for the knight, but no, a4. The point is a very clever move because you cannot take this. And then you're going to run into b5 and you're going to lose the piece. So that doesn't quite work. So a4, a8, bishop c5. Yeah, I think it was time. Time for go for initiative. Let's go. Takes. If bishop b5, rook fb8, you can take on b2. That's one option here. Let's see here. Rook b8 immediately might be very strong too. If you go here, play this position. Because you're trading bishop b5, knight c5 is coming in. I mean, these are very, very strong pieces for black. So yeah, that's why instead of bishop c5, b5 would have been quite strong. So knight a4, b5. Oh, I remember this. This was absolutely crazy line. Yeah, here queen e7 probably better here, but even here and f4. Here actually all you have to do is just take this way. You're hitting the rook still, and here you just take another pawn. The point being now, if you take this way, you're running into f4. And here actually compensation is actually very substantial because you have two pieces and three pawns. So you have more than a queen here. Yeah, it's still a queen, but I think the compensation is quite nice in this position. But understandably, Tuxtemur wanted to get more pieces here, so that's why he went there. Queen e7 takes, and this leads to a very sharp series of moves. Now knight is coming to d3. Okay, 4 again. It's not completely forced. You can actually take and play knight d3 with some queen c5 ideas. Still very complicated position. Rook f3, rook f7, c3, 6. Again, it's very complicated, but looks like white is still might be a little bit easier for him to play because of the activity. Now takes, and he could have also played this line. I saw this check, and perhaps maybe play this position. Roughly equal, but I think he calculated that he can hold this endgame. Now turn to win the pawn, knight b3. So it will lead to a position like this, where basically, yeah, you're going to be up a pawn, but there's just not going to be enough material to win the game. Knight d7, knight f6 will trade the rooks and just going to be insufficient winning chances here. I don't know if there was anything else here. Perhaps you could play maybe king f2. Not to rush with this and try to see if possible to surrender this pawn. And yeah, I think this might have been the best option here. King f2, but then rook a5. And very important to destroy this central pawns with a move like c6 to break them up. But again, it's better chances in a position like this, you know, to try, you know, than in the game, because in the game after d6 it just became simply a draw because now d6 is hanging. Yeah, I know the idea was just to try to eliminate the knight and try to pick up the pawn immediately, but yeah, you just trade your two strong pawns and you end up losing them. I don't know if it was possible to play d7, rook d6, maybe go here, but no, I'll just go here. Yeah, you actually, yeah, this is knight e4, king e3, knight c3, I can take. So yeah, probably just take and Yeah, this will be a draw, of course, too. So yeah, so a good save, I think, for Max in this game, because I think he was under some pressure, and Tuxtamur definitely had some opportunities here. He actually rushed here with a move f4. All he had to do is just play knight takes e4. The compensation is huge here. f8 is hanging, e5 is hanging. The compensation is absolutely huge. Now it's a really type of dominating positions. You want to take this guy, and if here you just take, and you have f4 coming up. So very, very nice advantage for white here, I think. Good winning chances. But he went for the sharp line with f4, which led to a lot of complication and a draw eventually. So we have another very exciting round we had, guys. Round number 3, 2 decisive games out of 5. So make sure to subscribe to 1000 GM YouTube channel, and you will see the more recaps coming up from this event. So we'll see you soon shortly. Have a good one. Bye-bye.